And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100% agree. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
Boom, April 18th. It's a Sunday, and the Weighing In podcast is going to be live. No, it's not. I'm lying. We are coming back to you, though, after a full week of fights. We had the ONE FC show with Christian Lee taking on Timothy, and I can't even say it, Natsjukin, and also the Bellator show with a ton of great fights. We had the UFC with Robert Whittaker making Kelvin Gastelum look human, and we also had the Triller show, which was kind of like watching the Titanic go down. But we will talk about all of these things as we get into a full week of fighting. Joshua Thompson, I have not slept for at least 48 hours. How are you feeling?
I got about 4 hours on the plane ride from
4 hours more than I got.
It's brutal. Oh, man. I think my next flight out of there, I'm going to probably leave at like 10 or 11 in the morning.
Can't do it anymore.
It's the 3 in the morning, man. My car picks me up at 3, and I get to the airport. I get like a McDonald's sandwich. There's nothing else open in the damn thing. By the time we get done with our shows on, it's like 11:30 midnight. There's no food available, and the only place there is food it's like shit food, and so it's only one spot. The line's out the damn door. You're like, fuck, wait an hour for this. Anyways.
Are you complaining?
It depends on what you call that, what I just did. It really does. Both you and I are exhausted, and so you guys just bear with us, all right? But there is a lot to talk about, so we want to make sure we get into it. Let's jump right into it. I want to just get right into it, okay? Let's not waste any damn time. We got some time. We got a lot to talk about. Christian Lee and Timothy Nash-Jukin. Nash-Jukin usually is the one being the fucking hammer. This time he was the nail.
Oh, man. If anyone would have asked me, hey, can Christian Lee win? Absolutely, man. The guy is a stud. He's the champion. But he needs to get Timothy down, and that's not easy. He's got pretty good, wrestling defense. So, can he do that? That's the question. Well, there was no question about it. He put him down with a huge left hand that just rocked the hell out of Timothy, and you can't blame him, man. He took a huge shot and could never recover from it.
Yeah, Christian Lee just followed him up with just a vicious ground and pound to the side. Every time Timothy went to get up, he would get wobbled back down a little bit. He just seemed out of it from then on and just got back up to it, and ref was basically just stopped it. It was a good display, though, by Christian Lee in terms of he knew the takedowns were going to be hard. He shot in, got stuffed, shot in again, got stuffed. He was setting up with his striking. He was having some success, with landing one and then getting into the takedown. But then Timothy's sprawl, he was prepared for it. He knew that's where Christian Lee was going to have success if he was able to get him down. Wasn't able to get him down. But that's why I always preach this. And even when we get into the Bellator fights, I preach this all the time. It doesn't matter if you get the takedown. You just have to get them thinking about that, because that will open up your stand-up, which will make it easier for you to get the takedown. You land a couple hard shots because now they're thinking about the takedown. You land the hard shots. Now it makes it easier for you to get in. They're stoned for a second. They're stunned and stoned. They're stuck in place. They get hit. That light flashes, and they don't know where you're at for a split second. Well, then you're in on the legs, and they got to defend from there. Everything leads up to it, and that's exactly what happened in this fight. He was able to, Timothy, he went like he was going to shoot, and then he fucking threw the left hook, caught him right on the button in the exchange. And he still got the hour after that, he got the takedown. So he got rocked, sat him down, jumped on top of him, started trying to finish him. Timothy went to his hands and knees. No defense. If your hands are on the mat, you're not covering yourself. So your head's open for clean shots. And Christian Lee did a great job. Obviously, he's a finisher. That's why.
Let's make this clear. Timothy Natsjukin is the man. He knocked out Eddie Alvarez when Eddie Alvarez first went to ONE. That was Eddie's first fight. And it just shows that there's great fighters everywhere. Eddie Alvarez is still a great fighter. Timothy is he's a great fighter. He's tough as hell. And Christian Lee, the champion of ONE, he's proving he's a great fighter, man. I thought the only way he would be able to beat Natsjukin was through his submission game, and he's got an outstanding submission game. Yeah. Prove me wrong.
Yeah, I was very surprised. I was stunned that he was able to drop. I was stunned that he was able to finish him also but even his ground and pound shots were nasty.
Yep.
He was picking and choosing the right spots, and Timothy was just out of it so much there was no defense.
Yep.
Overall, though, I mean, like they haven't been blessed with like good showing, like in terms of how the fight. I guess for me, the fights have ended, but probably not in the favor that they thought that it would. I think they would want Christian Lee to win. I'm saying,
yeah,
I'm
no
talking
doubt
about
it.
with Demetrius and the way Eddie ended last week. You know, I mean, it's kind of been a little bit of it, but I'm confused on what they are doing in terms of with one. Why are they having their main event in the middle of the card? It's confusing to me. They do one fight, which they had like the girl kickboxing fight, and then they had the main event, and then they had another fight after that. But it's like I don't know what they're doing. They didn't do that.
Well, it's not a live card. They're
filming.
They're filming a show
in Singapore. That's correct.
And then they're editing it together the way they want it to be put on TNT, and so it's not a live card.
But why would you do that? Can you maybe? I don't know why. Is it be for some sort of ratings? Like numbers up at the highest after the first fight?
No, that way, if you have, let's say you have 10 fights, and the 10 fights, you know you're going to be putting on your championship fight. But other than that, it's really which fight was the best fight is I'm going to put on. So I film them all, decide I thought this was the best fight. That's the one I'm going to put on with my championship fight. And that way you're representing your promotion the best way you can with the best fights.
No, but they're showing almost like a walkout fight. There's a fight after the main event. That's what I'm confused about. That's what I'm confused about.
That's their choice to put them in the order they want.
Yeah, I don't understand that for actual TV though. I understand having the like one or two fights before, and then you have the main fight.
Well, it looks really weird when you have the Christian Lee fight and you got all this confetti going everywhere, and then they have a commercial and there's a new fight and there's no confetti or anything.
There's no confetti.
Or they got someone with a broom. He's really fast. He goes out there.
They're out there with the air blower, one of those leaf blowers, getting all this shit out of there. I mean, overall though, I mean, like Christian Lee's good. It's been a while since he fought. I mean, but he's good. He's extremely tough. He's I was gonna say, his sister is Angela Lee, and then he's got their younger sister now is also signed by one. I don't even know if she's 18 yet. I think
16.
She's 16. Yeah.
16.
So yeah, but I mean, tip my hat to him, man, because I had him. I thought he was gonna lose.
Really?
I thought Timothy Nasukin was gonna touch him on the chin, wobble him a little bit, and do it. I thought the roles would be exactly the opposite. I thought it was gonna go that way. That's what I thought. But
don't blame you,
man. Good stuff. 15-3, still young. You know, should be good. So Timothy
getting better too.
His fifth loss. All right, but then we had Bellator last night.
Yes, sir.
And okay, so there was a lot of stuff, a lot of things. People were like blowing me up on social media about. Can you scroll down to the bottom? The very bottom, the very first prelims, very first two. J.J. Wilson fighting Pedro Cavallo, and then Masvidal fighting Saul Rogers. How come some of your guys' best guys are opening the show? Well, I want you guys
Pretty simple.
It's pretty simple. The UK market is where they reside, where they're from, and we wanted to make sure that the UK fans get to see their fighters fight without having to watch it 2 or 3 in the morning and stay up.
Like I'm doing this show right now.
Yes. And so they wanted to make sure of that. You know, that's why you've got Carl Albrechtsen also he's from Sweden, so he's also in that part of the world. Now I know that if you go up Paul Semtex Daily and he's up there, but with Paul 50 something fights, you can't. I'm sorry, but Paul is that guy who's such a veteran you can't afford. And that fight was the barn burner of the night, just to be honest.
Also what you're paying him, you don't want to put him on a prelim.
Yeah, we don't want to put him on a prelim. That's definitely for sure. But if we go back down to the first two fights, great first two fights. J.J. Wilson with a great performance over Pedro Cavallo. It's so funny. People are like, I can't believe Pedro just fought Patricio and you guys have him as the first fight of the night. Okay, well, you also have to take into consideration, like you said, he trains at SPG Ireland, but he also but then with JJ and with him, JJ is a rising star, and Pedro coming off of the loss. And then wanted to show Pedro in the UK market, JJ being undefeated and a rising star, it made sense to have that fight go first so the UK market could see him. Same thing with Masvidal and Saul Rogers. Saul Rogers is a freaking stud. It just wasn't his night. Masvidal came in, had some nice work, touched him up, got some reversals on him, and was stuffing the takedowns as the fight went on. Started touching him, and then threw him into a Japanese necktie. Couldn't finish it. Came back around. He's tough, man. I've said this. Mads Burnell has got the best Japanese necktie in the game. Even when you know it's coming, it's still hard to defend.
But the fact, and this is what I love about him, the fact he put that thing on, he was putting it on good. But the one thing you've got to do with a Japanese necktie is crush that space, because that crushing of the space is what creates that pressure on the neck and everything. And Sal Rogers, his people were calling out exactly what to do. And Mads Burnell feels it. He doesn't try to hold on to it. He's the one that lets go of it and goes to another. And you have to really respect a guy that's that smart, understands what's going on, believes in his entire game, not just that one catch, and just moves on into the fight and continues on, and then catches him later on with a rear naked choke. An absolutely beautiful performance against Burnell. And I loved what he said after, the fight in the interview. He goes, he's as strong as a rhino.
Yeah. Yes.
And I've always said Sal Rogers is the strongest 145-pound fighter I've ever seen. Yeah. And I say that based upon fights that I reffed him in, where he crushed guys like Ryan Hall with strength. Ryan Hall trying to pull off all of these different things. Sal Rogers just crushed him down. Mads Burnell was able to stop that, but said, man, is he strong.
Yeah. I mean, I guess realistically it kind of leads up now. You potentially could have Mads Burnell and J.J. Wilson fight, and that'd be a great fight.
Yeah, you could, but
J.J. maybe a step ahead of him because of the win over Pedro.
I don't think JJ's ahead of him. He may be a step ahead of him if you're looking at his fights within Bellator, but he's not a step ahead of him as far as his fighting experience. And that's going to be the one difference that I would say. They're in a close position, within the Bellator rankings right now. But Mads Burnell has been in the situation that JJ Wilson is in right now, the undefeated guy, and then going now all of a sudden he makes that big step up. And he wins that fight, but now you're going to have that next step, and everybody from this point on is good. You're not going to get any of the easy fights anymore, and that's what really determines who you are and what you're going to be as a young fighter, because the experience will help you. And Mads Burnell had to go through that, and he lost. He lost to Arnold Allen in the UFC, who's a great fighter, undefeated in the UFC. But it was that experience that Burnell didn't have. He didn't understand how to carry himself in certain situations in the fight, overextended at times, got a little tired at times. Now he's not doing those things, and it's because of those experiences. JJ, super young, hasn't made, he's made some mistakes in the fight. He hasn't been caught in them, and he's put on some great performances. This performance against Carvalho was fantastic. I don't know if you want to put him against Mads, though.
Yeah, we got to stop babysitting these guys, John.
No, look at you, man. You're such a prick.
No, he's beating Taiwan Claxton.
Yeah.
Beating Pedro Carvalho, who just lost to,
both of those guys were in the featherweight tourney.
Both those guys were in the tournament. JJ could have been somebody that was in that tournament, but not when the tournament started. That was the problem. He's had 3 fights since then. You know what I mean? So there's a lot. He's grown a lot of things since then as well. He beat Taiwan after Taiwan was kicked out of the tournament. So he's beaten the guys that were in the tournament. I mean, Mads could be next. I mean, I don't really know. We can get into some other guys as well, but I mean, Daniel Weichel might be someone. Daniel Weichel might be a little bit too much for him. To me, Daniel Weichel might be too much.
A lot of experience.
Yeah. We get it. Who else was in that featherweight tournament? You don't want him to fight guys like Georgie Karkanyan. He's got a lot of experience. You don't want him to fight guys like him. I mean, Adam Boric, that's way too much experience for him.
You can go back and you can look and say, well, there was like Sam Cecilia was in it.
Yeah, but Sam lost to Pedro, and he just beat Pedro, so that's a step back.
Yeah.
There was a guy that beat Sam Cecilia in the UK. I think it was Whiteford.
Whiteford.
Yeah, I think it was.
I'm lost on that one, dude.
Yeah, it was the last fight Sam Cecilia fought. And he lost. I want to say it was something Whiteford, where Sam was beating him until the third round, and Whiteford came on and knocked him out like in the third. It was a great fight. I think you and I called it.
I thought that was in Hawaii.
Yeah, Robert Whiteford.
Why? That was in Hawaii, wasn't it?
No.
Bellator London.
London, yeah.
Okay, I didn't call
London.
it.
I think we called it.
No, you did. I didn't.
Weren't you there? Didn't you go to London with me?
So. Nope. Negative. Boom.
Interesting.
They separated us again.
No.
It's a conspiracy, Josh.
Oh,
I'm telling you right now.
MVP and Malilo. You were there. Yeah, you did kickboxing. We had kickboxing on that card too.
Maybe.
Yeah, because Malilo
I didn't call those fights, though.
Malilo was a last minute replacement.
Well, if you remember, you called certain fights and I called certain fights.
Yeah.
Because of the kind of weird
Channel 5 and the the Showtime stuff. Or not Showtime, but whatever. DAZN. There you go.
DAZN, Channel 5, BBC.
Okay, so those two fights, I thought they started off the night on fire. And then we got into the Victor Nemkov fight with Carl Albrechtsen. And to me, Carl Albrechtsen he's tough, he's good, he's gritty, he's grimy, he's good everywhere. He's relaxed on he has. I hope he doesn't take this personal. When you remember seeing that movie American Psycho? He has the Swedish Psycho look.
He doesn't get those eyebrows going like
the eyebrows that do that. He's always got kind of like that Fedor kind of blank look on his face, like I'm just here to fight, like no big deal, whatever. But then he also went through a phase. I don't know if he was dyeing his hair or if it's just he was dyeing it, but it was really white. Bleach blonde. And it was a little scary. It's like he's somebody who's from Sweden, so he doesn't really have a tan. And so it was just you know what I mean? So but man, but he's a grinder. He's good. It made me concerned. You know what it did? It made me really nervous watching Victor, not Vadim, Victor, his brother, run out of gas. Because I was watching, I'm like, wait, you just trained with your brother.
You were training with your brother in the hills too, right?
Hills too, and this is what we're getting out of you. Okay, so what's going on? And he was gassed after the first round.
It was the guillotine attacks.
Yeah.
When he tried to guillotine, he was squeezing. You're going, it's not working. You need to let it go. And he doesn't. You're going, your arms are going to be lead.
Yeah.
When you squeeze hard and it doesn't happen, you're taking that chance. You better know you have it. And he didn't. You could just, when he went back to the corner after the round, he's sitting there and he's shaking his arms. Mm-hmm. And then Fedor is rubbing his arms out, and you're going, "Oh, you're so screwed." Yeah, because you can't get it. You can't get him back. Mm-mm. So
no, you can't. Yeah, you get heavy, and then Carl was just dismantling him after that.
Yep.
The problem that I have with Carl is that he just needs to work on getting to his finishes. I mean, he was dominating the fights, and in every fashion of the fight, there should have been a little bit more emphasis on getting him out of there.
Yeah, he had the same basic, game plan, same basic style. When he was fighting in Ryzen, he would get to the top position, he would hold the top position, he would use ground and pound. He just didn't get rid of guys. Yeah. It would end up going to a decision. And so, yeah, you would like to see him start to Corey Anderson himself into some heavy ground and pound.
Yeah.
Take a look at the ground and pound that Corey Anderson is leveling on people. You go, oh, hell, that hurts. That ends fights. And that's why he's finishing guys.
Yep. No, I agree.
Lance Gibson Jr.
Ooh.
God damn, he's good for a young guy, man.
I'm gonna give him a knock too. I know he's only 4-0 now.
Yep.
But little knock on him too is that he just got to pull the trigger. He was way better than Stern on the feet. All he had to do was pull the trigger a little more. I think he could have got Stern out of there, or at least sat him down a couple times. You know what I mean? And it's just that
You had to give it to Marcus Stern. Marcus Stern took a lot of shots, though.
He did.
He did, and he was tough as hell. He kept coming back. He just was outgunned by the younger, stronger, faster fighter.
Yeah. I mean, Lance Gibson Jr. he's explosive everywhere. He's got good hands, got great combinations. He's just got to be more active. You've got to have more output. And I think, and you've got to do it against guys like Marcus Stern. You've got to go ahead and touch him. That makes you feel a little bit more confident as you go into your next fight. Just outpointing people, you're leaving. What's going to happen when you do that is later on, those fighters are going to still always be in it. Like when we get into the Gastelum in the Whittaker fight tonight,
Yep.
Kelvin's gonna be in that fight to the bitter end. Okay, maybe it didn't seem like it, but you can't take a chance with somebody like that. Now, in these type of fights with Lance Gibson Jr., you got to get Marcus Stern out of there because these guys, they realize the fight's not going to go their way. They just have nothing to lose. They can start doing whatever they want. Big overhand rights, like doing crazy stuff, whatever, trying to do things that we wouldn't normally do to try to get the win. And that's all it takes, something that comes from an angle that you didn't see. And there goes your undefeated record, and all the hype behind you that was leading up to is gone as well. You got to get those fighters out of there. You don't get paid by the minute. Just remember that. And it's important though when you're fighting guys like this, because you also have to remember is that these are your moments, sure, to get the rounds in, but they're also your moments to work on your finishes under the pressure, and under the bright lights. You can get them in the gym all day long against people, but when you get out there, do you fold? Do you panic? Do you rush it and you miss it? Like, these are the people that you get it against, so then you can catch it in transition against better people later on. Just my thoughts on it.
That's true.
Raymond Daniels able to finally get the win without the nut shot.
No, there was a nut shot, but he's the one that received it.
Yeah, so he fought Peter Stanotic. It was a rematch because of the double nut shot that Raymond gave him last time that would have crippled anyone for months. I'm surprised he didn't have to go to the doctor, get it drained. Brutal.
But you have to actually, I'm going to say this. You got to give Raymond Daniels so much credit.
I give Mark Munoz credit.
Okay, well, but you got a guy who's 40 years old. He has been an incredible competitor in all these different forms of stand-up, from karate tournaments to kickboxing, being in Glory, all those types of things. An incredible record. He was in, the Chuck Norris, World Combat League that didn't have a ring. He's done it all. And to now learn how to be a mixed martial artist, because look, he tried a fight when he was in, he went to Strikeforce long ago and thought, with my style of stand-up, no one's gonna be able to get into me and take me down. And he got taken down and choked out real fast, and that's what can happen when you don't have the skill set to stop that takedown. So he went and he's learned it at an elder age as far as being a competitor. He's still getting better. He's still learning, and man, he is what you call a true martial artist. He's pretty impressive in what he can do, because the types of techniques he uses all take a lot of energy. Yeah. And he's going. I'm impressed at how much he is, throwing out there, the way he is, and in a 5-minute round. God damn, that's a big output. Yeah,
I would have never have thought he'd be the one instigating the takedowns. He started doing it and realizing he was having success in the second round. Yep. He got one. He's like, you know what? This is easy. He's like, and this guy has nothing for me on the ground. I feel comfortable here landing some ground and pound. If I get too caught up in it, I can just back out, get back to my feet. It also, too, showed us some fight IQ in terms of it gave him a second to rest.
Yeah.
Let your opponent carry your weight, and I can hang out here.
And he didn't have to move around. Everything's kind of good. It's like, there you go, man. You're using a complete game. Now you become even more difficult for your opponent. That's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, because he was getting in deep on the body locks right to the takedown.
Yeah, just beautiful. You see the blocking the leg, going to the backside. He did everything really nice. And you go, way to go, Mark Munoz. You taught him well.
It's good though. It's hard to get. Well, it's hard to teach old dogs new tricks, and he was able to pick it up. I'm giving him a hard time because he seems like he's not any older than say 31, 32 when you meet him. I mean, guess we knew what was going to happen with the Steve Mowry fight. I figured.
Let's go to the Paul Daly Mossy fight.
Let's go right to the Paul Daly fight.
Come on.
What is it with Paul Daly in these first round fights? And I know it was the second round. It was in the second round.
Yeah,
that first round was give me flashbacks of the Nate.
Oh, it was. It was 10 years ago that fight happened. So it was perfect.
If you guys have not seen the Nick Diaz and Paul Daly fight, it's to me it's the greatest 1-round fight in history. But we saw this was probably one of the next greatest 1-round fights in history as well that I've seen. It didn't go 1 round. It went into the second round.
This is not a 1-rounder.
Yeah, it's not a 1-rounder, but it didn't go long into the second round.
No.
So, but I mean, Hamasi came to fucking fight.
Yeah, he did.
It was impressive what he was doing. He was landing the cleaner shots. He threw the straighter punches. He got in there, dropped Paul, rocked Paul, dropped him twice. Had him off balance a bunch of times. But Paul
had him in serious trouble.
Paul talking about his jiu-jitsu, but he found ways to get into that body lock, and that jiu-jitsu, that portion of his game saved his ass.
Oh.
Saved his ass from, learning how to like turtle people up. Basically got into the butterfly guard, sucked you up, held him there until he could get his wind back and try to work his way back up to his feet. Paul just got his black belt. I didn't see a whole lot of submission attempts, but I did see some jiu-jitsu on the bottom in terms of making sure that he was in positions where he wasn't taking damage. And at the time that he was able to do that, that was a time that most people's brains just shut down and they don't know what the hell they're doing. And the seasoned veteran and Paul Daly came out. It was amazing.
Sometimes, he's either so on or his mind is so off of the fight. He's always dangerous, but you can always tell when he is really into the fight and is competing to his best. Because there's times when he doesn't compete to his best.
Yeah.
And he talks about him, and he'll talk about those times like when he fought Rory McDonald. He just didn't compete. But this fight, man, he came to compete because he could have just said, "Oh, this is too much," and thrown it in, and no one would have said a word, and Homasi would have walked away with a big time win. Yeah. But when Homasi knocked him on his ass the first time, he's trying to get himself straight, and then he gets knocked backwards. And Homasi is all over him and landed some big shots, big knee, and Paul Daly just hung tough. And, by the end of the round, he was coming back.
Yep.
And then second round, he just took over, and I think it was how much Homasi put out trying to get rid of Paul really affected him and stuff. But just a great fight by both guys.
It reminded me a lot of the Ryan Scope and Peter Queally fight.
Yeah. Very much.
Scope had dropped Peter Queally at the beginning of the second round. Then
Peter Queally was in trouble.
Yeah, he was in a lot of trouble. And then Peter basically
gutted
it out, endured all that punishment, was able to get back to his feet, and Ryan Scope just shut down. It was like a little bit of an adrenaline dump, and it was all over. He just folded over.
Little bit different. And you're right. The fights are, and what Queally did was beautiful, but Homasi didn't shut down.
No.
He just got hit with big shots.
Yeah.
You get hit with big shots, anybody can be put out.
Well, you know what the worst part, like for fighters, I think what the worst part is you had a dominant round, but then at the very end of the round, he got hit with two big knees against the fence.
Oh, yeah.
And then he got hit with the body shot, too. Daly hit him, boom, one knee, two knee, and then ripped the body, or it was like one knee, and then he ripped the body and grabbed and kneed him twice right to the head. And that will take the wind out of you right before your 1 minute break.
And so you're going back, not breathing to your corner.
And most of your time trying to get your breath back, and there's no recovery time. And so when he came out, he was extremely flat-footed. They were both when they walk out. It was like a slow walk to the cage.
Come on, did you take a look at both their faces before the start of that second round? Because they're both looking like, holy shit,
yes.
This is not quite the way I thought this was going to be. I thought I was going to be able to do this better.
What I like, though, is that at the very end, both of them had a lot of great things to say about each other. And Paul Daly, over the years, has definitely become more of a, I won't say sportsman, but he's become more.
No, he has.
Yeah, and he's found ways to, like, give positive feedback to others. And he's like, nobody's ever, outside of, I think.
He goes, only Nick Diaz knocked me on my ass like that.
And so it was good for him to say a bunch of good things about Homasi, and so it was nice to see. But it was a great fight, man.
What a way to start that card off, though.
So glad that fight was the first fight of the night. If we got
Good job, Josh.
Yeah.
Good job, John. We kind of talked people into changing that one.
Yeah, and the reason why
had to.
Yeah, I mean it. Well, what it was is we were leaving the main card with Julia Budd, and she was fighting Silva. And so we rolled right in. We had two girl fights on the last show, and so both fighters deserve to be on the main card on the last show because both were in line for a title shot. And this card here, the Julia Budd fight she was a former champ, being the main event on the prelims, deserved to be there as well, but not quite on the main card. Dirty Dez, and just so everyone knows, that's her nickname is Dirty Dez. Okay, I'm not calling her Dirty Dez.
Her nickname, that's what she uses.
So Dirty Dez and Vita fought for the title. Dirty Dez coming up in weight, and She's tough as nails, but we were expecting fireworks, and it was a good fight.
It was a good fight.
But yeah, it's just hard to live up after the Paul Daly fight.
Yeah.
Just crazy. But overall, look, when we get right into the Corey Anderson and Jacques Samerdoff,
Yes, sir.
Jacques had me a little concerned in that first round. Like he was touching Corey with some shots. And the very beginning of the third round, very beginning of the second round, he hit him with a nice overhand right. I was like, ooh, Corey's gotta be careful. And then Corey got to the wrestling.
He not only hit him with a nice overhand right, he hurt him. No matter what Corey wants to say, that spinning back kick. No, he did a spinning heel kick that came up, and it hit him similar to what happened with you when you fought Eve Edward. Hit you in the neck. It takes your balance away, and your mind is still there, but your ability to coordinate your balance and everything is off.
Man, my co-hosts do me dirty like that. Bring up old news.
Bring old news. Yeah, old news.
No, it's true though. It's a short circuit. Like my eyes were still open. I still could see and feel, and I could see everything happening, but my functions weren't moving.
Yep.
It was like I could see my face just directed going towards the floor. I was like, "No, put your hands up," but nothing was moving. Just face. I was like, "Oh shit." I had the same thing with what was his name? Hermes Franca. Same thing. Caught me with a punch when he caught my kick. Hit me with a punch, and I was like, "Gosh!" Or I caught his kick, and see, I don't even remember because
there you go. Knock the memory right out of you.
Hit me face down, ass up. I hit the ground, woke up. I was like, "Oh my god, shit, fuck, I'm fighting." But yeah, Corey though, I thought Corey looked phenomenal. I mean, we know he's good. He's good everywhere, and he gets a lot of criticism for being chinny. I don't think he's chinny. The guys in that weight class are just got power, man. They've just got power.
It's not only that. I think Corey's biggest problem in his losses is he was trying to fight a specific style that pleased somebody. You can't do that. You got to fight your style. You got to fight. Hey, I go out and I'm going to use my stand-up. I'm going to use my wrestling. I'm going to use the tool that I think is appropriate at a specific time in the fight so I can get my win. And I think where he was fighting, he felt like he needed to have these spectacular knockouts, which led him to stay away from certain times when he would go for a takedown and take someone down. And look, he has got an incredibly heavy base, and his ground and pound is fucking vicious. His elbows, man, he puts a lot of steam on him, man, and he's hurting people. I've been, with Jacques Samerdoff in the cage. I've done a couple of his fights, and he's good. And I've seen him when someone has taken him down, and his ability to keep from being hurt. By the end of that fight, Jacques Samerdoff was beat to hell.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a whole lot of time that really was taking place. There was a lot of damage done in a pretty short amount of time by Corey, and against a guy that's a really good fighter. So Corey's looking great right now.
Yeah, what it was when we talked to him in the fighter meetings during the week, and he said, what I needed to do was, I went down when DC brought me in to help him train for Stipe. He's like, and then it was the reality check that DC was like, you're pretty much like the second best person I've ever trained with outside of Kane. You know what I mean? Like in terms of, I'm going to put that little 2 cents in there, by the way. But it was, and he told him, he's like, you're one of the best guys I've ever trained with, if not the best guy I've ever trained with. He's got great conditioning, his cardio for days. Brian Bader talked about, they had trained together for the Phil Davis fight. He's like, the guy's a machine. The guy doesn't get tired. He just keeps coming. And he's like, he's got good wrestling. He's dominant position on top. He's fast twitch. He's got fast hands, all those things. So Ryan thinks he can beat him. Ryan thinks that he's got the way to beat him. But Corey also believes, he's like, no. Like,
got the way to beat him.
Yeah, he's like, I feel like I have the way to beat him. He's like, he called me up to train.
Did you see now? And this is, these are the things that, I thought Ryan said it best because you asked him, well, hey, Ryan, what are those, I don't kiss and tell.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the way, honestly, it should be.
Yeah.
What happens in training is training. It's not, you start to get into, I beat that guy. No, you didn't beat anything. It wasn't a fight. It's training. But Ryan had his thing that he was doing. And then when Ryan was up in the cage and, Cory and him were just before they faced off. Cory looks, he goes, yeah, it's going to be you and me. You remember those training days? And he's moving his eyebrows like, oh, yeah. And he's definitely believing that he got the best of those. Ryan believes he got the best of those. We'll see who was accurate.
Yeah, I think that the age is going to play a factor. Ryan
definitely can.
older. It's the 205 pound weight class. I think Ryan is better at heavyweight.
I do too.
Yep. And so I just think that right now it's the changing of the guard. It's Cory's time. I don't know if he's going to win this tournament, but it's his time, I think. And he had a dominant performance against Jacques Samerdoff. And we're going to see that fight. So that's the fight that's going to happen next. Hey.
Well, if you're Corey Anderson, that confidence that you got from a guy named DC about him telling you, hey, I'm telling you, of all the guys I've trained with, you're right at the top. That's the kind of thing that he needs, and now it's showing. And if you're talking about being in this tournament, it's the absolute right time to have that confidence and to be getting better with what you're doing as you're going up into this tournament. Corey Anderson is peaking right at the right time.
Yeah, he's going to need to peak, though, because he's got on the other side of the bracket, though, too. So he's got to get through Bader first. But then you get to the other side of that bracket, you're going to get one of those animals.
Well, he's only going to get 1 of 3.
Yeah, you're going to get 1 of 3, but it's still going to be one of those 3.
And not one is a good choice.
No, they're all tough fights, man. But
what I love about that tournament.
You get Vadim Nemkov and Phil Davis. This is the second time the Vadim has beat him. I was concerned watching his brother Victor fight and gassing out in the first round, at the end of the first round, going to the second. And he just had nothing. It was the same thing over and over and over again. I'm like, oh, man. Because Vadim has had problems with his conditioning to the point where, he is almost like a bigger version of a Michael Chandler. They don't know how to pace themselves. They think that when they're on top, they have to always be going. Instead of finding and picking and choosing your shots, conserving your energy and getting that deep breath for your body to recover, they continue to push through. So when they do finally stop, they're completely just wiped out. He's had those problems before in the past, but he said he's remedied it. I thought he looked great going in the 4th and 5th. I was concerned about the 4th and 5th round. Mm-hmm. And I talked about it a lot on the broadcast because he'd never been past 3. And the fact that we've seen him get so tired to the point where he couldn't continue. Before in the past. But that's not him now. And he's spending time now training in the mountains, up in the, I don't know, they said somewhere in the Russian mountains, which I guess apparently is 6,000 or 7,000 altitude. So, I mean, if he's gonna start taking it serious, which he's gonna have to, because he's gonna get one of the other guys on the other side of this the bracket here with the AJ and Yoel. It's gonna be fireworks. Whoever he has to fight is gonna be fireworks. Because to me, I think, and AJ is my boy. Anthony Johnson's my boy. And I think he's got a great chance of beating Yoel. But what we don't know is the mystery of Yoel Romero. He's 108. He's hard. He's had a hard time making 185 for most of his career. And he's not going to cut weight. He's going to be fresh and ready to go.
He's going to cut 10 pounds.
His output will be, I think it will increase because he doesn't have to cut weight. At 44 years old, trying to cut, 20, 30 pounds, he won't have to do that now. He'll have to cut just, say, 10 or 12 pounds. Come on.
Huge difference.
A huge difference on what's going to happen to him, I think. I mean, we've seen him slow down so much in the 3rd and the 4th round and 5th rounds when he's fought, to the point where he, throws maybe 10 to 12 punches or 15 punches in one round, and he never shoots anymore. He doesn't wrestle at all. Now he doesn't have to worry about that. He can just fight at 205, and he can probably cut about 10 pounds, if that. And he's going to get in there with he's to me is the dark horse of this whole thing because of his wrestling. He's a better wrestler. As much as AJ's my boy, AJ's problem has always been wrestlers and guys that are better wrestlers than him. Those are the guys he's lost to. As guys that could take him down and get to a submission. Yoel can take him down. I don't know if Yoel can hold him down or if Yoel can do it more than once around. But we've also seen Yoel, how nasty good he is on top. So if Yoel gets past him and for him to fight Nemkov, is scary because Nemkov will push into him and make him fight at a pace he probably doesn't want to fight at. So I think Nemkov has a good chance of beating him, but he's just got to avoid getting hit. Because one thing I saw against Phil Davis, he's able to get hit.
Oh, yeah.
Chin gets touched. And Yoel's got some power.
Yep.
So that's scary to me. I think the style fight and matchup, though, is if I would like to see AJ and Nemkov, but that's not a good fight for Nemkov. I think the speed and the power of him, of AJ, is not a good matchup for Nemkov.
I would say that there's a big difference between the two, and if you're looking based upon the Nemkov, he comes forward and he likes to attack and he sticks his chin out at times, and if AJ touches your chin, I don't care who you are, you're gonna have a problem. So it's gonna affect who you are for several moments, and those are moments that you can't get back.
Yeah.
So it's interesting though, because I look at exactly what you're saying with Yoel. There's so many elements in this that weight change is, I think, huge for Yoel. I think that 205 pounds, that's a 20-pound difference that he's not cutting.
Yeah.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to feel good there. He's going to be stronger. He's going to have more energy. He's a genetic freak anyways, as far as, I know he's 43 years of age as far as, his biological age, but not when you look at him. You go, nope, just different. So it'll be interesting him, because he has that going for him. There's things that, with Anthony hasn't fought in a while.
Yeah.
And maybe that won't affect him at all. Maybe it will. We'll see. But there's a lot of factors in that fight that makes it's a toss-up on who's going to win it, which is what's great about it.
What people have to remember about Anthony, though, is that throughout his whole career, he's not a fighter that took a lot of damage because people were so afraid to stand with him that he was the one not taking damage. He wasn't the one taking damage. It was his opponents. And so they were always trying to wrestle and take him down, and they got tired, and then he would knock them out, or they would come in, he would roll into an uppercut. He has one of the quickest jab to the switch head kicks in the game. He's not flexible at all, but he can get it up there, and he showed just the other day on his Instagram page, he still has it. He was sparring with one of the guys there, and he did the jab to the switch head kick and just grazed the top of their head. I was like, and for the other thing too is I think Henry Hoof just gave him some sparring. They have like a sparring belt champion in their gym at Sanford MMA, and AJ has it back. He's all, I'm the champ again until Tyrone Spong comes back. Until Spong goes back. So, you know what I mean? So for right now, AJ is the champ, which means he's got his rhythm back on track. So if he's touching people and putting some hurt on people, I mean, yeah, he's with Brandon Vera.
Bam. You want to talk about a guy that can kick?
Yeah.
People have no idea. Brandon could kick. We were working out one time. It was Keith Jardine, and we were doing pads, and I was holding the pads for Keith, and Keith is kicking, and we're doing all kinds of different angles and stuff. And Brandon goes, hey, John, will you hold the pads for me too? And I said, yeah. And I'd been doing it with, Keith for 5 minutes for the round. So Brandon steps up. He kicked it one time. I was so used to the power of Keith Jardine that my hands hit my face so damn hard it almost fucking knocked me out.
Oh, man.
That hard, man. I was like, oh, there's a big difference. Okay.
Yeah. He gave him the AKA for a little bit, and I could see him hitting, kicking the pads with Hobb for a little bit. Ooh. Yeah, he's got some power, man.
He got some steam.
Got them Flintstone feet, too.
Yeah. Got big legs.
But Vadim, to me, I thought he looked good. My frustration was more with Phil Davis. And Phil is he's a great person, and we all know that. And he's just
love the guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy, man. Yep. And love being around him. He's got the energy of just like 15 kids.
He's got one of the best personalities anyone, if you ever meet someone, such a kind guy, such a kind heart, funny, tells stories that are great. Just a great person.
He's great. So but we talked to him all week. Phil, excuse me.
Why are you yawning?
No, you know what?
Come on, baby.
Phil, you're gonna use your wrestling. You were dominating with the wrestling against Nemkov in
third round, Phil. How did it go? How did that third round go, Phil?
Jesus, man. No takedowns.
Yeah, I mean, what I really thought is I thought Phil was going to try to. I didn't think Phil was just going to shoot for takedowns. because he just doesn't do that. But I did think that he was going to utilize the clinch a lot more, crush the space on Nemkov, take away a lot of his outside game and some of the speed that he has by getting in the clinch, by putting him in the cage, by beating up his legs with knees, just dirty, grinding Randy Couture style, because he's got that ability with his wrestling. Nope. Turned it into a damn kickboxing match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you go back and you watch the history of Nemkov, from the Albrechtsen fight to the other fights that, in the other promotions, as well as when he got into Bellator. Every time someone has forced him to grapple early and a lot, they've had
blows him up.
His arms blow up, like his brother trying to hit that guillotine.
Yep.
After that, his brother wasn't the same. If you do that to him and you just stay on him and do that to him, I think he slows down just tremendously, at least for about 2.5 minutes. He slows down a lot, and those are your opportunities to pick on him.
His first loss was to Yuri Prochaska, and it was in Ryzen. It was the Ryzen tournament. I refereed it. And if you go and watch that fight, it was Yuri putting pressure on him, but Vadim was winning the round. He got great positions on Yuri. He hit Yuri with the bigger shots. Yuri had a couple little moments in there, but by the end, they were both tired, but Yuri goes for a takedown. Vadim kind of stops him, gets on top, and the round ends with Vadim on top in guard, and he rolls out and is on the mat, exhausted, can't get up. And that's how the fight ended. I stopped the fight because he couldn't move, and I wasn't going to let his team pick him up. And he couldn't get up. He was exhausted. And it was based upon he had to grapple a lot with Yuri, and it blew him up. And obviously he's not the same fighter. He's learned from it. He's grown and everything, but that is a way, if you're looking at how do I, get this guy to slow down some, go back and watch those fights, man. The blueprint was written. Albrechtsen
did the same thing next fight.
Same thing next fight, man. He watched that fight, goes, okay, that's what you need to do. And, he I think it was a split decision, but he beat him.
Yeah.
He hasn't lost since, but
but I feel like that's the way. That's the way you got to get through.
Is the way.
So we saw him slow down after Phil did, like you said, press him to the fence a little bit. Even when Vadim gets tired, what he does is he starts to shoot himself. Yeah. And that's not, I don't advise that at all, because he'll shoot. He doesn't go to the body lock. He shoots. And
he tries to drop levels. And his change of levels, he's bending his back because he's tired.
Yep.
And it's not good.
Yeah. So, he still has some kinks to work out, but, he's got a lot better. Mentally, he's got a lot better. Like he said, the first time he fought Phil, he's like, I can't believe I'm fighting Phil Davis. That was his whole thing. That's why I felt like I got tired. And I was like, no, you got tired because Phil was making you wrestle towards the end of the second round.
Well, and he also uses, and you can go back in the Yuri Prochaska fight, the Phil Davis fight. He uses these big moves. He picks guys up a lot, burning a lot of energy, picking a guy up to, try to bring him over, trying to, he'll blast his way out of a submission hold. Someone tries to put submission. He's picking him up off of the ground. Those are big moments in a fight when you're burning a lot of fuel real fast, that it's going to take you a while to get back, in the fight. So he's got to learn, when do you use that power and, explode like that? Well, there's times that you do it, but you got to be judicious in it and smart, because if you're hitting that gas pedal all the time, eventually you're going to hit that gas pedal and there's nothing left.
Yeah, like I told you, he reminds me of like a bigger version of Chandler. Like Chandler did that with Benson Henderson the first fight.
Yeah,
he just had nothing left in the fourth and the fifth round. It was just like Ben started coming on, and there was just nothing there. And so I feel like he has moments like that where he needs to start realizing where he can rest and get his wind back, take that big deep breath. You've seen guys like Forrest Griffin, myself, I do it all the time when I was fighting. You just take a step back and go, let it all out.
Come forward.
Get it all out and then go. It's like you need that moment to just do that. And then if you don't do that, like you're running on fumes. You never get that second wind. So,
Yeah.
but I thought overall the fight card on the night was good. There was a couple fights in there that didn't live up to the potential, but that's gonna happen.
Yep.
You know, but overall, I thought the fight was a good night, and I think the tournament fights were good. You know, they're very evenly matched. Cory just was a next level above. Ryan Bader and Phil Davis, or not Ryan Bader, but Nemkov and Phil Davis, you know, lived up to the hype in terms of a rematch fight. And then, of course, Paul Daly stole the show, I thought.
Yeah.
It was Paul Daly and Hamasi. The two of them stole the show. Hamasi's a stud. You know, I know he's still young. I think he's 31 years old. You know, and Paul Daly, 38 years old. Still, man, still got it, man. He has slowed down a little bit in the speed on the hands, but fuck, he's got power.
Still, when he throws, he turns everything into it.
Yeah.
I still, and I say all the time, he's got the best left hook in MMA. When he throws it, just watch the way he throws it. I just look at it and go, that is freaking art.
Yep.
Because it's just perfectly done and it has so much power on it. It's just a beautiful thing to watch.
Well, he hit Hamasi, they want to say with one knee against the fence, and then he backed away for a split second and rotated his whole body and dug that left hook to the body, and then grabbed the head and kneed twice to the head and rocked Hamasi, and then the bell ended like another 10 seconds later or something like that. But I mean, he started coming on towards the end of that first and was like, "Hey, I'm not done yet, buddy.
Yep.
Fight still got some room in it." So, but overall, I thought it was a good night of fights, and you know, and then one I thought, you know, with Christian Lee and Timothy Nasukin was a good fight, and we're gonna roll right into the UFC. So UFC tonight.
Short.
What's that?
It was a little short.
Yeah. But UFC tonight. So let's go UFC. Let's what fight do you want to talk about? What do you want to start at? Go down. You can see.
Well, if you go down just real quick, I thought Tony Gravely against Anthony Burchak. Anthony, I thought, fought a really tough fight. I've known him for a long time. Gravely is a tough dude, very got a lot of power, and I thought Anthony gave it everything he had. When you're looking at a fighter and you say, "Man, did that guy give it everything he had?" I thought Anthony did, and so yeah, he lost. But Anthony, you know what? Great fight, man. You went out, you did everything you could. He just had the power, and you got hit multiple times to put you down, and they ended up stopping it on you. But that was a fun fight. It was a good fight by both guys.
Yeah. They were rolling around like little ferrets in that first round.
Oh, at times, yeah, that was good.
Austin Hubbard and Dakota Bush.
I think Dakota Bush maybe learned a lesson in that fight. You don't have to be flashy.
Yeah.
You don't have to be this, take a look at what Austin Hubbard did. And I've watched Austin, a couple of times now, and he's not flashy. He doesn't do anything special.
Like
he's just very composed. He tries to stick to his game plan, and he did a great job in that fight, just doing his thing, fighting his fight, and taking over and making someone get tired.
Well, Dakota Bush also to the adrenaline dump. I think he's making his debut in the UFC.
Yep.
It's his dream to get there, and it showed. He had a lot of energy in the first. When we got to the second, it was gone, and then he just never recovered either. That was it.
And it was some of the shots he was taking. He was taking some good shots that started to just make that train get a little bit off of the track.
Gerald Meerschaert and Toes.
That was a nice fucking submission.
It was
very nice. Yeah. On the ground, Gerald is good. That was a good submission against a good fighter. Congratulations to him. Did they say that puts him up in the tops of submissions? Sorry,
22 or 24 is what he had. I can't remember, but I think it was 22 or 24 submissions. I think is what he has now.
Overall, not in UFC.
He's got 24 submissions. There you go.
Overall, okay.
Yeah, it's on his record.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Jessica Penny comes back with a tough fight, but gets the win.
What'd you think of that? How did you judge that?
I had Godinez win it.
I think I did too.
Loopy.
Yeah, I did too. But you know what? I'm not mad the other way.
No.
I'm not mad the other way. But because the reason why is like when you throw somebody off of you, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, but she did a couple of them. There was the one time it looked like she tossed her out like she.
Yeah. She had the double leg and then just threw
her.
Man. She didn't want to go to the ground with her, but it really didn't do anything. So it looks good, But if you're a judge, I don't know how much you score that. What do you score that? Like just
I scored it like it was, it was one shot because she hit the ground hard. That's about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It could be so much more.
Yeah, it could have been. But Jessica, I felt like was trying to mount the attack. She had the back, almost, 3/4 of the second round.
Yeah.
She had finishing position. I want to say, did she finish the first round on her back? I think she finished the first round on her back too.
Yeah, but she lost that first round.
No, I thought so too. The third round was kind of like an up in the air. But
the third round was the one. Whoever you gave the round to is who you're going to give the fight to.
So you gave Jessica the second and the third? Sorry, you didn't give her the third.
No, I gave Loopy the first and the third.
The first and the third. So you gave Jessica the second?
I think so.
Yeah.
Might be wrong on those.
Yeah. Jessica, she's got to work on just keeping her chin down or something, because she throws. She throws and seems like everything's open. She gets hit at the end. So it's just a bad look. Like the judges, what do they score? They score basically the last thing they saw. So it's just that shot that lands out of the exchange. Yeah. But like I said, I'm happy for her. I was cheering for her. She's been out for 4 years because of some bullshit. But she's back now, and she's got back on the winning track.
Came back with a win. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's nice for her.
It was a close fight.
So
Romanov and Espino.
Okay.
What a disaster.
It was horrible. Horrible.
Well, all right, let's talk about the ending. Okay, what'd you think?
You know what I think is, I got on Twitter shortly after, like within say 5 minutes after the fight, where they were trying to figure out if he was going to get up or not. Yeah. And guess who's on Twitter fucking talking about how the judging and scoring should be?
Oh,
our boy Aljo.
Let me get
fucking guy can't pass a camera or a fucking tweet without speaking up. Gosh, man. They just need to strip him, dude. It's embarrassing. Like, dude, no. The week after his fight, anytime he would post something, there was like 100 messages. Now he posted it was like 15 minutes. It was up there. None. No one cares anymore. No. Like, just, dude, get off of social media. You just go full heel. I think you've already have. You just haven't admitted it to yourself yet. I don't know, John. What do you think?
Here's my question: how do you have a guy who basically would disqualify a fighter for a foul? All right, we'll say that the Aljamain Sterling, just the referee disqualifies Peter Yan on a foul because it was a knee to the head, and it was definitely a knee to the head, and gave the fucking title to Aljo. Okay, and now you have this fight and a groin shot, and I don't think it was a hard one, but a groin shot ends the fight. Now, did the right thing, went to a technical decision, but how is it if a foul is based upon you taking points based upon the severity of the foul and the effect it had on the fight? Well, if it ended the fight, should you have taken a point? You can't be inconsistent. Consistency is everything. And you've got to think about these things and be consistent in what you do. When you're all over the place, that's when you go, you never know what the guy's going to do. I don't know what that person's going to do. I don't know what. Be consistent. If you're going to stick with, I'm going to be this guy that, boom, okay, be consistent.
Well, he's consistently fucking it up. So he's on.
Thank you very much. I mean,
he's consistently fucking.
Come on. You know?
But did the right person win? By the rules, John.
Well, by the rules, yes, because it was simple that the fight ends. The judges had already judged the first and the second round. They judged the portion of the third round. I don't know which way they went with it, but it was basically a technical decision is basically just a judge's decision with a limited amount of time in that final round. So.
And that's what they should have done with the Aljo and Peter Yan.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then Peter Yan would still be the champ.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he had won all the rounds.
But he should have taken points if he had done that too. So it's all good.
Gotcha.
Louis Pena Violent Bob Ross came away with a big win against Munoz, I thought.
Now that's the scoring as well. Do you think he won?
I don't think so.
I don't think he won either. And he's my boy.
I really like him, so I kind of was rooting for him. But, I mean, I like the way he finished the fight. That's the big thing that I look at, but you've already turned in your other scorecards. So, you had to give the first round to Munoz. He's got multiple takedowns. He did some damage. He hit him hard, hurt him, but again, by the end, I thought Luis Pena was looking better. So I can understand it. It's one of those, I was okay either way, but I thought Munoz probably won the fight.
Yeah, I thought Munoz won the first two, and I thought
Pena won the third.
Yeah,
the way I had it.
On the third, and just didn't know output. You've got to have output, man. Like, that's the thing. He was touching them clean with some good stuff, and he was having success. You just got to have more output. If you'd had more output, you would have done a lot better. And man, he had some great defense. There was one part where on the double leg, Munoz got in, and he was full hip down.
Oh,
he reached through and switched his hip, and I was like, and he was like in the splits, one leg out. I'm like, hell yeah, my boy! Look at that. That was nice.
With the way he brought his leg around to get into that almost split position, I was like, dude, if I did that, my hip would go.
Yeah, it would have broke.
Horrible.
It would have broke.
It was really nice. Yeah. Really nice.
That would have pissed off Miss McCarthy. But I thought, look, I'm glad he got the win. He's been on the opposite side of some shitty decisions as well. So this time it went in his favor.
Yeah, nice job for Louis.
But that's the problem when you leave it in the judge's hands. But in this case, it worked out for him, and I like to see him win because he's very talented. He's talented. You just gotta have a little bit more output. I actually, to be honest, he was at AKA for years. After the Ultimate Fighter, he came over with that group of guys, but the biggest thing was like he's gotten better. He left here not as good as he looked there at ATT. His last two fights at ATT, he's looked good. Yeah. And he didn't look this good at AKA.
I did like Michael Bisping's question to him at the beginning. He says, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident were you that you had won that fight? He goes, 10. Bisping's sitting there going, you're lying.
He's a good dude.
Yeah, he is.
I used to teach my kids he'd come here sometimes and teach the kids wrestling program for me at my gym. So he's a good kid. Tracy Cortez and Justin Kish.
Good fight.
It was.
Thought it was they both fought hard. And I feel bad for Justine Kish because she fought her heart out.
Yeah.
She gave it everything she had. It was split decision, so
I didn't think it was a split decision.
Neither did I. I thought Tracy won it.
Yeah. Tracy's good. Not to mention
she is good. She's tough.
She's hot.
That's why you like her.
Yeah,
that's why you thought she did good.
But I wanted Bellator to sign her years ago. But she was, relatively new. It wasn't, I think she only had like 3 or 4 fights, something like that. She's good though. Yeah. Her wrestling's on point. I didn't realize she had been working with Henry and Henry's brother or whatever since she was younger. She hit that nice little inside trip. I think it was her first takedown in the first round. It was nice. And then she got on top, did some nasty ground and pound. I was like, dude, damn.
Pretty heavy ground and pound on top.
Some power on top. Damn. But no, very impressive, man. Very impressive. She's very marketable. She's got a great story. I mean, everything about her, that was the biggest reason. Like back when I was like, hey man, like she's good. She's got a presence about her that you can market. Bellator didn't snatch her up. I'm a little mad, but it is what it is, man.
It
was great watching her fight. I'm glad she's having success. She's still undefeated, right?
No, she's 9-1.
Oh, she's 9-1. Okay, 9-1. Okay,
9-1. Yeah, 9-1.
She's a little ball of energy, though. She's going. Yep. She's smooth. She doesn't waste. She's not a lot of wasted movement. She needs to clean up the stand up a little bit. She keeps her head right in the center of the line when she throws. She got hit with some clean shots. You know what I mean? So, but
but she'll stand and throw.
Yeah, she will. Yeah. No, but it was good to see her fight. I had seen like clips of her. I'd never really sat and watched one of her whole fights. This is the first time I've ever sat and watched some of her whole fight. Yeah. Good stuff. Okay. Andre Olofsky and Chase.
You're going right past Jacob Malkoun.
Yeah.
That was
against him. Nothing against him, but
no,
Alofsky just had nothing for it. Couldn't stop the takedowns, and
he doesn't look like this ever since that knockout loss that he had. Can't remember who the hell it was. Who did he have the knockout loss to? It was
the other guy.
Chaos Williams, I think. Chaos Williams.
No, Hassan.
Yeah, Hassan had his last
guy
fight.
He just beat Abdul Razak.
You won his
yes,
KO loss?
I won his loss.
Okay. Jeez.
Well, if you're paying attention,
Be clear.
We were clear. You got to listen to the damn show when we're talking.
He lost his last loss. I think was to Chaos Williams, right? Yeah. That knockout, like it had an effect on him.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's his third loss in a row, man.
Well, I mean, this fight, all it was, he just got outworked.
He got out wrestled.
Yeah. He had no answer. And once he got to his back, it was.
But he took some big shots. I'll give it. Jacob landed some good shots on him, but Jacob looked good.
But that's the point, though, John, that we were making about the Phil Davis thing that I was saying. Like, you don't have to get the takedowns. I told Vita the same thing after when I saw Vita's fight against Dirty Dez. I said, you don't have to get the takedowns. You just got to make them think about it. That opens everything else up, and that's what opens up the stand-up, which makes the takedowns easier. And then if you start landing the harder shots, the takedowns are easier. If you start getting takedowns, the stand-up starts getting easier. You've got to mix it up, man. Make it an MMA fight. That's been the downfall of Paul Daly's career his whole life. Like, he could have been a world champion, I believe. I mean, he was on the rise until he met Koscheck. But I mean, he's always had the potential of being a world champion. He just couldn't get out of his own way in certain scenarios.
Yep.
Certain situations. But fuck, man, that guy's good. And a lot of them, like with Malkoun or whatever, he got a great wrestling. Hassan just had no answer. And you could just tell, like, once he started losing takedown after takedown, the frustration set in. It was like, okay, I'm just going to settle in. Yep. That's kind of how it goes. Andre Olofsky, I thought he looked good. I was getting a little kind of frustrated listening to the commentary. I normally turn the commentary off, but I actually kind of like Bisping. So I kind of like to hear him talk. I just can't have Bisping and DC together because the two of them talk over each other, and it drives me absolutely insane. But the two of them, so like with Bisping though, I was getting a little frustrated because Arlovsky was having success with the kick in the first round, and all they kept talking about was Chase Sherman's kicks. And I'm like,
no, Chase Sherman's leg was getting killed.
You could see Sherman's, like, he was already kind of like switching to a square stance. He was kind of not putting weight down on the leg. And I'm like, how are you guys not seeing this? Like, one or two kicks, and you could tell he was already kind of like going to that square stance, not wanting to be kicked there anymore. And I was kind of mad at Arlovsky too. I'm like, how do you not fucking see this? Like, what the fuck? But, and Andre just kept going to the box. I'm like, keep going to the kicks. I think finally he realized at the end of the second that the kicks were having an effect. He started going more to it. In the third round, he had a lot more success with it. But overall, I'm happy for him. When you're beating the Young Bucks, baby, doing it for us. I mean, shit, the guy's been doing it longer than me.
20 wins. That was his 20th win in the UFC.
Damn.
That's pretty good.
That's insane. I think he's tied number 4 is what I heard. He's tied for number 4. He was gone, though. Remember, he went to the World Series of Fighting for a while.
Hell yeah. Well, dude, he went to World Series of Fighting, went to Affliction, done all kinds of remember Anthony broke his jaw.
Yeah, that's right. I do remember that. That's the fight. That was the last fight that Anthony had for World Series of Fighting. They brought him back in the UFC.
Yep.
And then he fucking broke Nogueira's jaw. Stole his soul the next fight.
Broke a lot of people's hearts.
Yeah, that was in San Jose. Jesus, man. Vicious. That guy's... I wonder how many careers he's ended, AJ. Vicious. All right, so let's get into the main event. Whittaker and Gastelum. Okay, guys. Let me just reiterate what I said last week. Let me say this. Does Whittaker deserve a title shot? Absolutely.
No doubt about it.
Will the UFC give him one? I don't know. You don't think so? I don't know, and I don't think so. And it's nothing like I don't have anything against him. I like him. He's really damn good. And the key tonight for him against Gastelum, he throws the straighter shots.
Yeah.
Gastelum loops everything,
and he also throws in combinations with his hands and his feet.
He did the two things. He did those things together really well. And I will give Bisping a little bit of credit, and Tom Cruise also. he uses his footwork. He slides in and slides out. Gastelum has to cover the distance, so what he does, he jumps in and jumps out. And then when you're in the air, it's easier for you to get hit and knocked off balance.
But for the most part, you're talking about one guy who's using a multitude of skill sets. You know, because Whittaker he's using his hands, he's using his kicks, and he was using his takedowns. He took Gastelum down multiple times with beautiful body lock takedowns, you know, put him on the ground and just made him think about it. Well, you're watching Gastelum, and for the most part, what are you watching? You're watching a guy that's boxing. Yeah. He's just going after him with his hands. He's a limited fighter. And you just look at the difference, and it's like, yeah, I understand. I know why this guy's winning every round. He's giving you more to deal with, and you're giving him one thing that he has to shut down.
Yeah, he shot a couple takedowns. I think he got one, but then Robert just popped right back up. He pushed down on the head and slid out and got back up to his feet. I mean, Robert Whittaker does everything really damn well.
He does.
He stuffs takedowns really well. He pops back up to his feet really well. He's got great combinations. The fact that he throws that head kick on that side against southpaws, he knows how to mix it up as well, and he does everything. He goes full combination right to the head kick or full combination to the inside leg kick. He does everything very well. Now, to talk about the Izzy fight and this and Whittaker, do I think he deserves it? Abso-fucking-lutely. Will they give it to him? I don't think they will. He beat Gastelum now. I could see them giving him Marvin Vettori first, because now Gastelum and him train together. Give the two of them a fight give Whittaker and Marvin Vettori, because that fight was supposed to. Weren't they matched up before?
I don't know.
No, Vettori was matched up with who, and they just pulled out.
Darren Till.
Darren Till.
Okay, so. But I'm saying I think they're going to try to slide him in to fight Whittaker next.
But that's who Darren Till is, who Izzy wants to fight.
Yeah. He's got a broken collarbone.
Yeah, he got injured. I don't know.
Yeah, Adam Piccolotti just broke his collarbone too.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's surgery on that, I think. That guy's had a run of bad luck. He tore his knee, just got back from that, and then fucking broke his collarbone. That's fucking shitty.
Hit the ground wrong?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That's shitty. But yeah, I think Darren Till broke his collarbone as well. So that's.
But Whittaker overall, he looked great. I mean, for the most part, he dominated a guy that I think is a really good fighter, a fun fighter to watch. A guy that's got great power in his hands. Kelvin had no answer for anything that Robert was doing.
Well, even on the ground. Robert punched his way into the body lock. He picked him up like he was nothing and threw him on the ground. And that's that. And the only reason why I'm saying this is because that just shows you that Gastelum's that tweener. He's not a big guy for 185. He's just can't make the weight at 170 or depletes himself so much that the performance won't be there. So,
or he doesn't make weight.
He doesn't make weight. I don't think he has ever made weight at that.
I think one time.
Did he one time? Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like him at 85 because he is a dog and he'll get in there and just get after it. But he's a smaller guy. But it was shown tonight. Every time they got into that clinch, Whittaker just picked him up and threw him down. But overall, I think that the story of the night was that Whittaker he mixed it up and he threw the straighter punches, and they got there first. And that was kind of, to me, the story when I was watching it all. So it was a good performance by Robert Whittaker. Do I think he's going to get a title shot? I don't think so. I'm going to give him somebody else first. Just my opinion. Hey, I'm not dogging on the guy.
We'll see. No, you're not dogging him. I'm not saying you are.
He should get it, but I don't know if he will. We'll see. All right. Well, let's take a look at this. Let's go weighing in on the odds. With mybookie.ag, use the promo code WAYNEIN. They'll give you a little extra spending cash. And you guys should have taken advantage of last week's promo that we had, which is also the promo code WAYNEIN. But they gave you a little extra money as well to bet on Ben Askren, which gave you more money to bet on the UFC, which, in turn was all the way up to $1,000. So, yeah, you could have got up to another $1,000. If you put $1,000 in, you could have got another $1,000. This week, that deal is off the table, so don't go there thinking that. But go to mybookie.ag, use the promo code WAYNEIN. They will give you a little extra spending cash. So for the Masvidal and Kamaru Usman rematch, let's see. What do we got here? Masvidal is plus 310 and Usman is minus 410. There is no over-under on it right now. Yeah, you and I think, like, and as much as I love George, man, he's an OG. I don't think he's going to beat him. I don't either. But you know what? I am going to take one thing away.
It's not that he can't.
No,
not that he can't. He obviously can come away. He can land a good shot. Anybody can be hurt, and he could definitely come away with the win. But I just think Usman's going to end up taking the fight.
Yeah. The one thing, though, I wonder if he took anything away from the Gilbert Burns fight. Because Gilbert had clean, he was able to touch Kamaru a couple times and got him rocked, remember? Mm-hmm. Got him hurt a little bit. Yeah. And I wonder if he's going to take anything, if he can take anything away from there. It was the uppercut. I think the uppercut to the left hook, I think, is what landed into that overhand right. I think is what it was, as I recall. But anyway, it was if you can get anything from that fight, it's really the boxing. You don't want to throw any kicks against him because he's going to snatch that leg and take you down. You're never going to get up. The whole fight will change after the first takedown. That's just my opinion on this. I mean, and because I've seen Usman do it too many times to everybody else. After one takedown, the second one gets easier, the third one's easier, and then they basically have just succumbed to like, okay, this is the way the fight's going to go. Fuck. You know what I mean? Well, are you taking that bet?
As far as
would you bet 410 to win 100?
Yeah.
Over George, knowing that the outcome's going to be that way? Man, You're a brave son of a gun. You're a brave son of a gun.
I just look at you. You've already seen him fight once.
Yeah.
All right. If you look at odds on a rematch of two fighters where one of the fighters is older and he lost the first time, I will tell you it's probably 90%, 95% he loses the second time.
Yep.
And so, and I'm not, that's not what I'm going off of, but that just seems to be, that's another thing out there. I just look and say, Usman's getting better. I'm not saying George is not good, and George has got great skills, and I love George as a fighter. I love him as a person. I just don't think at this point, matching them up, that I think George has the skill set to beat that guy. He's got the skill set to beat certain guys that are really good, but they fight different than Usman, and Usman's style is a smothering style, and if George can't get away from him, he can't do what he does best. So.
You know what concerns me a little bit about it is that Usman's getting a little bit better on the feet.
Mm-hmm.
Had success with his jab. He just cannot forget his wrestling in this fight. He's got to.
But he hasn't.
No, he hasn't. He hasn't. But with the Gilbert fight, he stood a little bit more, I felt, than he should have.
Why?
I understood that. But
okay, because he only trained with him for how long and had been submitted by him. In practice, so
he knew how good he was on the ground.
Yeah,
but I felt like Gilbert was having the success on the feet, which was crazy. Masvidal doesn't have that grappling. He's got the wrestling, like takedown defense, but I don't know if it's good enough to stop the Usman.
He's not a threat on the ground. Off of his back, he's not a threat.
No, but he's hard to hold down. That's
yeah.
Rose is plus 155 and Weili Zhang is minus 190.
See, that's to me, it's a fair odd. I look at Rose and I think she should definitely be the underdog in it. As I look at the fight, I think as the fight goes longer, Weili has more odds of winning the fight. Mm-hmm. I think Rose needs to get rid of Weili by the third round. If she doesn't get rid of her by the third round, that's where I think the problems are going to start, because Rose tends to be very strong and sharp in the beginning rounds, and it starts to tail off, towards those third, fourth, fifth rounds. So she's had success in the past, in those rounds. So I wouldn't say, she's always getting tired. No, I just think against a pressure fighter like Weili and someone who's physically strong, it's gonna be taxing on her cardio, keeping that pace and that rhythm. So that's a fair estimation. You're really trying to look and say, do I think that Rose will end the fight, or do I think Weili will, either end the fight or take it to the distance? So
yeah, I would say I think Rose is gonna beat her.
Ooh, there you go.
I think Rose stops her in before the first 3 rounds.
Woo.
Yep. I'm a Rose fan though. So
Yeah, see, there you go.
what was your take on her comments about the communism thing?
Stupid. Absolutely stupid.
Just leave them alone.
Well, okay, hold on. Let's just break this down to its most basic form. What can Wei Li Zhang do about where she's born? What can you do about where you're born? What can Rose do about where she's born?
Yeah.
We're born where we're born. And the country that we are born in is the country that we're normally raised in. Now, some people, it's different. They move out and they go to different places. But, Wei Li Zhang was born in China, raised in China. And to sit there and to say, she has a say in anything there. Yeah. Come on. That's ridiculous. Yeah, that's like saying, does Rose Namajunas have a say in anything here? No. I don't bring nationalism into that kind of stuff. It's if the fighter themselves, if Wei Li Zhang is saying something, because I'm Chinese and because I am from China, that makes me better. Okay, you want to say something then, but I've never heard that from her.
Yeah.
So
I'd like to just keep it all out of sports.
Yeah. Who cares?
Just keep it out of sports.
I look at it this way. Okay. I'm colorblind when it comes to people. I don't care. I don't care what nationality, what skin color. It doesn't matter. Are you a good person or are you a bad person?
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
Yeah. That's exactly.
Simple.
Yep. I treat everyone the same.
Like shit.
That's the truth. Then we go back to the other fight. Then you've got Jessica Andrade fighting Valentina Shevchenko.
Yeah, what's that?
That is plus 300 for Jessica Andrade, and
that's not a bad bet
for Jessica.
Yeah, if you're looking, you say I'll put $50 down on Jessica, so I'll win $150 if she wins, because she has the ability to. I don't think it's going to happen, but I always look and say if the underdog has the ability to win. With certain things, all right, I might put money down on it.
John might have just talked me into putting $1,000 down.
$1,000.
Let's go.
Don't do it. Stop.
I think Valentina, I feel like she's at that stage right now. She seems like she's getting a little bored.
Better not get bored with Jessica.
That's my point. Like her last performance didn't look all that great.
No, but I think that's the reason she's going to really put on a performance in this one.
I think so. She's going to have to. Because I think Jessica Andrade, with that power, she's going to try to walk her down, try to get her to. I don't think she'll be able to take her down. If she does, I don't know if she'll be able to hold her down. That's the other thing. If Jessica Andrade can take Valentina Shevchenko down and hold her down, I don't know if she'll be able to do that. But
yeah, I think she especially after you watch Jennifer Maia.
Yeah.
Jennifer Maia took her down, held her down.
That's true.
Was it the second round? So if Jennifer Maia can do it, I believe Jessica Andrade can do it too. She's super strong. She's got a good ground game. So her ability to do that is there. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I just look at overall, Valentina is just the overall more skilled fighter.
Yeah.
So
I got you. All right, go ahead. Next one. All right, let's jump into this fucking sinking fucking
the debacle. Oh my god.
Let's just talk about the fucking promotion itself. What a joke.
Fucking shit show.
I'm
sorry.
Here's the thing. You hear what their budget was for their production?
Oh,
it was like $2 million.
$2 million.
And it looked shitty the whole time. Cameras were fucking filming the ropes at times.
The fight is going on, and they're freaking looking at the stupid fucking commentators.
The fight was going on, and the fucking camera pans to where the rope is. So you see like the fighter's head, and you see like his shoes, and the rest of it is the rope, the black rope in the middle. I was like, this is the worst $2 million spent on fucking anything. Ridiculous. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, I'm sure somebody in the comment section will find an article that someone spent $2 million on something stupider, but it will be. But it was bad, John. The whole show was bad. I don't care about all your singers and your whatever else that came out. It was ridiculous. And you know who I felt the most bad for? Al Bernstein.
Oh,
He's got to be thinking. He was laughing and joking about the contact high, but he's got to be thinking, "Fuck, man,
dude, just sitting next to Oscar De La Hoya would have gotten you high."
It's horrible.
Are you kidding? He was freaking blasted.
I'm surprised they let him talk that whole fight because he was just doing the commentary for the Frank Mir fight, and I'm surprised they let him talk that long. Like, just it was and a couple times.
Pop the balloon.
This is the highest level of boxing on Triller, and I was like, you've got and nothing against Frank Mir, but I think Frank understands he's not at the highest level of boxing.
Well, and they also said that this was the fight of the decade between Jake Paul and Ben Askren. You go, really? Wow, boxing's dropped that far.
But that's what I was trying to say a couple weeks ago. I said this is how shitty boxing has become. You know, people paid $44 or $40. I don't know what. $50 for this. $49.
Yeah, I paid it.
Did you? You fucking. I was like, how did you pay it? I sent you the stream.
Thank you very much.
I was like, how did you pay for it? Yeah, it was, the whole thing was a total shit show. I don't know what they paid Bieber and they paid all the other people that came out and sang, but I'm sure they paid them pretty well, you know? And so when I look at things like this show, I don't think will be around for, what do you give it? I give it another 2 shows.
Well, you know, they made a lot of money on the first one, and this is what I said, is you made a lot of money on the first one, but you didn't make it because of, you were incredibly just gifted in your production or something like that, or because it was so cool because of the music and the fighting. You're not doing anything new.
No.
Affliction did that back in 2007. Okay. If you recall, they had Metallica playing in between fights and stuff. So there's nothing new, and they had, other people, and it's a matter of your fights are horrible. Okay. They're really bad. At least Affliction had great fights. They had great matchups. So I look at, you made money on the first show based upon Mike Tyson. All right. You had Mike Tyson. There are people of my age, your age, that had seen Mike Tyson fight when he was young and said, hey, I'll pay to watch Mike Tyson fight again. And there's people that had heard about him that had never seen him fight that said, man, I heard this guy, I got to watch him. And they would pay to watch Mike Tyson fight, and especially paid when it was Roy Jones Jr. But, if you were counting on, Jake Paul carrying this boat here and, all the people that follow him, well, all the people that follow him are the millennials of the world, or the Gen X, or whatever they call the new things. And those are all the people that live on the internet, and they don't buy anything. They steal it. So I would really like to know how many people stole your feed and how many people actually pay for it, because people watched your show, because I'd be one of them, but not many people paid for it.
You stole it because I stole it with you.
Bless you, baby.
No, it just, it is what it is. If people are going to keep buying it, they're going to keep buying it, but I doubt the amount of money that they're spending on this. You have to think, Bieber is not cheap. E40 is not cheap. All the other rappers that were there are not cheap, and they're hemorrhaging money. Your production was that bad for $2 million. And it was horrible. I mean, and then the announcers that you had, look, I don't have anything against Mario Lopez, and I don't have anything against, but the Saturday Night Live guy, he's a joke. Like, he belongs on Saturday Night Live, not calling fights. There was no, you had, I don't know if he was just high or if he was drunk or whatever it was, but Oscar De La Hoya, he sounded ridiculous.
Yeah.
I felt embarrassed for him. I don't even know him. Don't care either. But I'm just saying, there was moments there where it got past cringe to almost feeling like I was embarrassed and sad for him. I'm like, man, and you're announcing, sounding like this, you're announcing the fact that you're fighting. I have zero desire to watch you fight now. None. And I was a huge fan of his, man. I loved watching his fights. Man, I loved watching him fight.
He's a great boxer.
Yeah, but just absolutely not, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Just this type of shit is not gonna sell. And if it continues to sell, if it does continue to sell, this is where boxing is headed then. Total shit show. I feel bad for all the real boxers that are out there, because, real boxing's taking a hit as well.
Yeah.
And this right here is a fucking circus show. What did Ben say? Ben's like, everyone loves circuses and something else. Everyone loves fights and circuses. Well, guess what? You get them all in one night now or some shit like that. That's exactly what this was.
Well, I will give Frank Mir credit. Frank actually came out and tried to fight. And I said, I thought Steve was going to end up knocking Frank out.
Yeah.
But Frank, he fought a good 6 rounds with him. I thought he won one of them. I thought he won the 4th round. And really, hats off to you, Frank. Nice job. Because you're not a professional boxer. You're an MMA guy, and you are older. And Steve is not even as old as you. So I thought he did good. One of the things that that's cracked me up was you've got this giant promotion with all this money, and you used the Georgia Athletic Commission's people. And I don't want to say anything bad about them, but the Askren fight, okay, this is what happens when you have a small-time referee making small-time decisions. And when I say small-time decisions, Ben Askren was up before there was even the count of 8, all right, and was given a lot of extra time because the guy was trying to keep Jake Paul back. And this was the 1st round. There's a lot of people paying money for this fight. It's not a little regional grassroots fight where you have a 4-rounder where someone gets knocked on the ground and you don't want someone to get hurt. You make decisions based upon, okay, I realize the situation that we're in. And to stop the fight, no, you don't stop the fight now. You don't just hand it to Jake Paul that way. Yes, Ben got hit with a shot, but Ben was up and Ben was ready to go. His hands were in the right place, all the things, and small time decisions. It was really bad. You need, if you're gonna have a fight on, that people are paying for, then bring someone that understands what it's like to referee a high level competition or a big show. It was bad.
Yeah, this was not a high level competition, John. This was a
No.
big show. I'll call it a big show because the budget was.
Look at Ben. He's sitting there going, ready to go. This guy goes, walk to me, goes towards him. He stops the fight. It's like, oh my God.
I think he forgets that Ben walks that way no matter what.
No shit.
That's the other thing. Ben's not graceful on his feet.
He walks like a duck anyway.
Yeah, like you. Oh, Ben. Oh man, this guy's fucking. I mean, like the next question is, who does he fight next?
Someone else that's not a boxer.
He'll pluck some guy out.
Yeah, they'll keep on. He's got this whole thing where they're backing him, so he's gonna try to pull out another person that doesn't box and try to make something of it, and then act like he's just so special, so good. It's a joke.
Oh man, but if you're a Canelo Alvarez or if you're, a Terrence Crawford, what are you thinking?
Well, it's not. If you're Canelo Alvarez, you go, I don't give a shit. I make way more money than you. Okay, but if you're one of those guys like Errol Spence or a Terrence Crawford, where you're in that position, you make good money, but you're not making that Canelo Alvarez money, that Floyd Mayweather type money, that kind of thing, and you're seeing this guy making big money, you go, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. I really do feel like if you have people like Snoop Dogg finding money backers to back this shit, it's going to start making boxing a joke. I mean, boxing's already taking a hit right now. And I want to get, I don't want to get into it, but I want to get, people are so convinced. And then we've had Nate Cory on the show. We've had John Fitch on the show. The Ali Act's going to save MMA. No, it's not. It's going to make it like this. It's going to make it, it's not going to make it like this. It's just not going to, you're not going to get what you think you're going to get. I think they have this expectation like all these guys are going to make money. No, they're not. We've got 13, 14 fights on a card now. Well, this show had 5, and sure, they made good money. But now what about all those people that are on the undercards? They're not going to have a platform to go to anymore. And then they're not their idea is that the UFC is a monopoly. It's not a monopoly. There's the PFL, there's ONE, there's Bellator, there's LFA, they're not a monopoly.
No, they're just the biggest promotion.
Yeah, like I don't.
Someone, and if it wasn't the UFC, someone else would be in that position as the biggest promotion.
Yeah, I get tired of going on the Twitter and seeing all this. When I had the comment there last week about if you guys want to get fighters paid more money, start promoting other organizations. That's really
support
the other organizations. Support the other athletes.
Support the sport.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that because everyone's like, oh, well, you work for Bellator, that's why you're saying it. If you were working for the UFC, you wouldn't say that. No, I actually would still be saying that.
No, because then you wouldn't be working for the UFC because they don't let you say that.
Yeah. True. Because here, look, I work for Bellator, but we talk about one. And I tell you, like, if you know, Eddie Alvarez was fighting, Demetrius was fighting. I like Timothy Nastasiuk, and I watched his fight the other night. You know, I like watching Christian Lee fight as well. I watched that fight. Yeah, we're gonna continue to talk about MMA on this show.
Well,
that means all of the platforms. Anthony Pettis is coming up. You know, Lance Palmer's coming up. We're gonna talk about the PFL. You guys gotta start not just talking about them, but like get on your social media and say, hey, Pettis is fighting tonight. Let's get it all together. Start talking about that stuff. The media doesn't cover them at all until the week of the fight. Yeah. You know? Whereas the media slurping up on the UFC, which is fine. I get it. They are the biggest promotion. We can go ahead and say that. But the other thing, though, is that if you want to make sure that fighters are getting paid more money, stop getting on Twitter and complaining about, you know, the UFC. That's all I see. Like, you know, John Fitch is my boy, but all it is it's the continuous, like, there's never anything positive about anything else. It's just negative about the UFC. Hey, do something positive on your social media. Get on there and start saying about, hey, Eddie Alvarez is this damn good. Christian Lee is this good. Patricio's a fucking animal. Logan Storley is this good. You know, Yaroslav Amosov, Douglas Lima. You can go through these names. Demetrius Johnson, like
Lance
all
Palmer.
These guys. Just start Lance Palmer. You know, start talking about these. Chris Wade. Start talking about all these other fighters in these other organizations, and just start pumping them, man. Like, and you'll be like, oh shit, there's another guy over there that I like. There's another guy over here that's really good. That's the way to get into the UFC's pocketbook. You're not going to get it the other way. All you've done now, they've taken the money away from sponsors. If we start doing that, and I'm not just talking about just Bellator, I'm saying do that for every promotion. Now that those promotions are making more money, which means what? They can afford to pay fighters more money. Because the next thing I'm going to tell you guys is those other promotions, they have to pay more to get the fighters to come to them. Because the most fighters want to try to get to the UFC. So they're already getting hit. And then when the fans or when other fighters don't support the other organizations, you know, especially the ones that fight in those organizations, you're only hurting yourself. You know, because if you do lose and you wash out of, say, you know, Bellator or PFL or whatever it is, you're not going to go to the UFC, and they're not going to pay. If you ever do go, they're going to pay you peanuts, and they know that. So if you want to make money in any of the other organizations, you know, for me, when I went to Bellator, I went because it was a family atmosphere for me. You know, I'm really good friends with Rich Chow, really good friends with Mike Hogan, really good friends with obviously you know, and Coker and everybody else that worked for him. So I went there because I could have went to one. One was interested in me. I could have went to, it was called World Series of Fighting. I could have went there also. But I chose to go to Bellator because that's where I felt like family. You have to develop that. I think for other fighters, you have to figure out where you would like to call home and go there. You know, DC left when he left Strikeforce. He went to the UFC. He found his home. He likes
He didn't leave Strikeforce. They bought.
He didn't leave, but they
he was bought and they had his contract.
But I'm saying he made it feel like home. He's got a nice little family type atmosphere there. You know what I mean? But he can do that anywhere. But he likes it there. You know, and he's successful there. And I tip my hat to him for being that person. But my point is that guys like Nate Cory, guys like John Fitch, other guys that sit on the internet and just bitch and whine and cry all the time about the UFC, it sounds
not helping your cause.
But you sound like a bitter old fighter.
Not helping your cause.
You know, and you're not helping at all. It's not at all. It's like, yeah, but we have this class action lawsuit. I get it. But in the process of that, why don't you guys try and help the other organizations build up their platform as well by pumping it out there and then start putting pressure on the media to talk about the other organizations so the fighters can start making money also in those organizations. That's the biggest thing. Like, being negative all the time on social media is not going to get us anywhere. Doesn't matter what it is, whether it's politics, whether it's fucking
negative in anything's not going to.
Yeah, negative in anything. So the reality is that we have to start getting off that shit and start, and if you're going to be on it, pump good shit. And that's going to start helping the other promotions grow so they can start paying the other fighters more money. Anyways, that's my rant for the day.
That's a good rant. I like it.
Good. I mean, am I right or am I wrong, John? What do you think?
No, look, you're right. And this is the whole point. Just to think that the Ali Act is going to change something for fighters. It'll change certain things. They'll have it more of an idea. It'll change it for the big guys. The John Jones will have a better outlook on exactly how much he's making compared to what the UFC's making compared to what all the other fighters are, because they have to have an open book about the percentage that the promotion is making compared to the percentage that the fighters are making. But that's always for the top guys. And in boxing, it's no different. You have the top guys making a ton of money, but there's very few of those top guys. Everyone thinks that overall boxers make more money than MMA fighters. Overall, if you're looking at all of them, no, the MMA fighters actually make more money. MMA promotions pay more money than boxing promotions, especially when you're talking lower level fighters. So it's not going to be this thing where it's going to just change things automatically. The ranking system. It's a ranking system. But the belts for MMA are different than the belts for boxing. Belts for MMA are promotional. Belts for boxing are sanctioning bodies. The WBC, the WBA, the WBO, the IBF, those are all sanctioning bodies that the boxer ends up having to pay money to out of their purse to have that sanctioning body actually sanction the fight. So, when you see a boxer and you see there's a $200,000 sanctioning fee coming out of the fighter's purse, that ain't funny, man. That's real. And all of that, is money out of the fighter's purse. So, yes, promotionally, the belt for the UFC is just the UFC's belt. It's not a world title. People associate the world title based upon, they want to say that, okay, that we think the UFC is the best. Okay, we're going to say that's the world title. Okay. Bellator's is a promotional belt. One's is a promotional belt. All of those, that's never going to change. So if that goes to the Ali Act, yeah, it'll change. Now, instead of having promotional belts, you'll have the sanctioning body thing. It's not going to change anything.
Well, for me, I felt like it's the 14 fights you had. Like we had 14 fights this last show for Bellator. Mm-hmm. Okay, you go to a boxing format, sure, you'll have the main event and maybe one fight below that will be making more.
Five, six bouts.
Yeah, but you'll have 5 or 6 bouts. Mm-hmm. So you're saying that you're willing to take the food out of those people's mouths and out of their households. The other, 8 other fights that were on that card. Yeah. And I mean, you're talking 8 fights, that's 16 fighters that you're taking off of the card that can't feed their family now. Now, don't get me wrong. Look, I get it. They can do something else. But that's not what they got into this for.
No, they didn't get into to do something else. They got in it to be a fighter.
Yeah, then now they're going to go to some hole in the wall at the fairgrounds and fight in that organization, potentially get hurt with no insurance. The promotion won't pay them. All because we want to implement something. Look, the UFC has done, the UFC, MMA, all the whole promotions have done something different. This is something different. You guys see something better. You think you see something better because now later on, after you're done with your career, I don't know where you're at financially. I don't know where you're at, mentally and all those things. I don't know that. And I know it's different for every fighter, but we all made the choice to get in there.
Well, the one thing that the Ali Act would help with for fighters is if you are that champion, every time that, if you're the champion in the UFC, every time you fight, your contract is automatically extended based upon the contract that they have. So you are always in a position where if you win the fight as a champion, you still owe the UFC 3 fights. So you fight the next fight and you win, you owe them 3 fights. Mm-hmm. Okay. It just stays that you owe them 3 fights. So that would have to change. Under the Ali Act, they wouldn't be able to do that. That contract would not be able to continue to expand. Whatever you sign for 3 fights, you become the champion, and you only have 1 fight left. They can either try to sign you to a new contract that extends it, but they can't just automatically add it because that's what the contract says. So there are good points about it. There's things that, I think would be fair to the fighters.
I understand. I guess my main point on this whole situation is if you want to help the fighters, get off the internet and stop bitching and whining about it, okay? Because I get the class action lawsuit is there and it's in the process, okay? But complaining about it every single day on Twitter and social media and everything like that is not going to make it go any faster. And it's not going to make any change. How about you start helping the guys that are actually in the females that are involved in other organizations by helping them make money? And the way you do that, and the same thing goes to for all the fighters that say they're in the UFC and they lose a fight or two and they go to another organization, like you're helping them as well. So don't just look at it in terms of like, oh, you're just saying it because you work for Bellator. No, I'm talking about all the organizations. We talk about one, I pumped one. I'm going to talk about PFL when those fights
start up,
when they start back up. We're gonna continue to talk about all these organizations. I just want to make sure that you have to look at it from a positive. I have to want to look at it more in a positive way of how we can help everybody by trying to put pressure on the media to start covering all the organizations and more than just the week of the fight. And that's the hardest part. You've got to get the media involved, and you're going to do that by more people talking about it on social media. You start talking about the fighters you want to see, and then that'll happen. And then the media will start covering them. Oh, this kid's the up-and-coming kid from the LFA. This kid's the up-and-coming kid from, the PFL. He just took it by storm. Whatever it is. Yeah. You don't get that right now, and that's the shittiest part, Like guys like Yarosov, Amosov should have been talked about 3 years ago, but he wasn't. And that's the shit. Like, to me, that's the shittiest part. It's like, how do you have a guy that's 25-0 and still, even right now to this day, is still not getting any love?
Yep.
It's like, so it baffles me. It baffles me. But that all starts with everybody, with all the fans, and not just the fans, but also the media doing their fucking job. More the media. The fans, just, you guys be fans. I'm just saying, but
it is the media doing their job. Fans. Well, the one thing that's really weird is, if you look at a big difference between boxing and MMA is, though, boxing, no one gives a shit if it's Golden Boy or PBC or Top Rank or any of these. No one gives a damn what promotion is promoting the fight. Do you care what promotion is promoting a Canelo fight, or do you care about Canelo?
That's all. That's why Canelo went to the zone. And I just went to the zone to watch him. That's it.
Right. So the fact that fans in the sport of MMA basically segregate themselves into one promotion says that our fans are just not that educated or intelligent about the sport of MMA. They're segregating themselves away from a lot of great talent.
Sounds like politics. All right, well, hey, let's talk real quick. There's one news article that we want to talk on, and that was the Jeremy Steven Drucker Close situation where he pushed him at weigh-ins. He had that caused Close to get a cervical sprain as well as a concussion. So he said he had some numbness down his arm. They sent him to the doctor all night to get that worked on. Nothing came about it. I mean, where do you put this with Jeremy Stevens? With the promotion? I mean, how fucking mad do you think they are?
Well, I think they're a little upset, but I don't think it's something that there's two sides to it. Now that it occurred, I think the UFC is going to start saying something about, hey, we cannot have someone put their hands on another fighter without there being repercussions. You're going to have either financial repercussions, something is going to happen based upon this incident. Now, Jeremy Stevens is
they didn't get that memo for John Jones in DC.
Yeah, well, again, that's the whole point. You can go and look at that situation right there, and I'm sure they said, I bet they said, hey, you do not fight. You fight when there's money on the line. You don't fight for free here. You're not getting paid. And I'm sure there's something that they've talked about with fighting. Jeremy looks at the push is that fighting? No, it's a push. Well, there's going to be this thing about you don't put your hands on your opponent, and because do I believe that Jacques Close had a problem? Yeah, I believe him. And it's weird that it happened, and it's kind of good that it happened in a way. I'm just being honest. I feel bad for him, but if he was that close to being injured and it was that push that kind of snapped his neck and caused this pinch of a nerve or things to happen and him to have this problem, I'm glad it happened with the push instead of him being in a fight and him being picked up and dropped down, and it occurring that way. So,
well, I look at it maybe like they're coming off the weight cut.
yeah,
They're doing their face off, whatever it is. I know there was some time between that and the real weight cut.
Yeah.
But regardless, he's probably not fully hydrated yet. He probably hasn't had more than 1 meal or like a quarter of a meal. He slowly put the food back in you. His body's probably seizing a little bit. His muscles are a little tense and they're definitely dehydrated still. So all that push did was give him a quick whiplash.
Yep.
No water in his brain because he's dehydrated. So he's just got, it was like a perfect storm.
Yeah.
You don't think you're going to do a lot of damage because it's just a push. But the reality is that when you're depleted that much, it's more than just a push.
Bad things can happen.
Bad things can happen. So we found that it's a shitty situation for both. I think.
But if you're Jeremy Stevens, I don't know if people remember, but Jeremy was during that press conference long ago, the red panty night with Conor McGregor press conference where they had all the fighters and Jeremy was kind of sitting behind him, and that was when Conor said, "Who the fuck is that guy?"
Yeah.
If you recall, because Jeremy he says, "I don't TKO people, I knock them out." And he's right. He's being honest. He's being truthful. Well, now Jeremy can say, "Dude, you don't want to mess with me. Look what happens when I push people."
Yes, this is true. This is true. No, he's got, yeah. I mean, it was just caught him off guard, I think.
Yeah.
And just the situation and the time.
Wasn't prepared for it. Either that or Jeremy pushes a lot harder than Jake Paul because Jake Paul not only hit Ben to the body, he pushed him. Not a problem.
Nothing at all. All right, guys. Well, hey, we're going to wrap this up. It's 4 a.m. for John.
Yes, it is.
It is 1 a.m. for me and Podcast Dave. And okay, so hopefully you guys enjoy the show. Sorry, we sound a little grumpy and tired tonight. I snapped at Podcast Dave for not doing his job, but my apologies. But it was not to you, to the fans, because I mean not to Dave, just to the fans.
Here, Dave, I'll tell you, he's sorry.
Yes, yeah, that's my way of saying sorry.
Sorry.
He knows that. Jeez. All right, well, hopefully you guys enjoy the show. Hit the thumbs up. Also, hit the little bell on the bottom right corner. Share our videos out. Please post us, tag us. Also, the and still is going crazy.
God bless you guys. I've had fun with it.
And I want to remind the world that you guys have such an impact on Ariel Helwani that he unblocked Dave.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
He just unblocked me.
Yeah, he just unblocked
love
me.
it.
So,
He got pressure.
so just so you see,
He's so easy.
this feeds right into what I was just talking about, supporting the other organizations. You guys went out there and you guys supported us against Ariel in DC, and now look, Podcast Dave is friends with Ariel Helwani.
I kind of want to just test the limits now.
Yeah.
You really?
Again, yeah. So, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this show. I know we're a little tired tonight. We've got a lot going on, but there's a lot of news to cover, and we will be back for our midweek show. And John, what you got?
Yes, we will be back. And thank you. One thing, guys, go to ProWrestlingTees.com. Get our shirt, especially our brand new Cinco de Mayo that you can wear coming up. It is coming up here the 5th of May. It's a gorgeous looking shirt of red, green, and black. You can use the promo code and get 20% off on that shirt. We appreciate everything you guys do for us. Appreciate you wearing our stuff. Send us a picture. We will post it. And other than that, I want to say, see ya.